Hi, I'm John Davis, and this is MotorWeek. Join us as we honor the spirit of Daytona in the Dodge Charger SRT Hellcat Widebody. Pat Goss has do's and don'ts for your privacy behind the wheel. Roger Mecca finds a sleek Italian that beats with an American heart, and new bone, skin, and tech for the family favorite Toyota Highlander. So come drive with us next.
MotorWeek, television's original automotive magazine, brought to you by...
You're shopping for tires online, and you have questions.
I do.
We're TireRack.com, and we have answers. And tools to help.
Like our tire decision guide. It's, take a look.
TireRack.com. Find, deliver, install.
Rock Auto has auto parts from hundreds of manufacturers, offering a variety of brands, prices, and specifications. RockAuto.com. All the parts your car will ever need.
Hard to believe it was 5 years ago we demolished the turns here at Roebling Road Raceway with what was then a brand new Dodge Charger SRT Hellcat. And to this day, it remains the most powerful and fastest mass-produced sedan that money can buy. But that doesn't mean FCA has stood still. Make room for more Hellcat, and this one flies with the spirit of Daytona. Time to take the old family sedan out onto the racetrack. Well, not exactly. This Dodge Charger does indeed make a great family car, but this 2020 SRT Hellcat Widebody is designed with more than just carpool duty in mind and is actually a great track car. As you may have guessed from the name, this Charger now gets the Challenger's Widebody treatment, which includes not only extended fenders for a more aggressive stance, but wider 20-inch wheels, upgraded Brembo brakes, and unique suspension tuning, as well as new front and rear fascias to smoothly integrate the broader fenders and create a more menacing-looking Hellcat. In fact, it turned out so great that going forward, all Hellcat Chargers will get the Widebody treatment. Now, this particular Charger is also a limited Daytona 50th Anniversary Edition built to honor the record-breaking 1969 Dodge Charger Daytona, the first car to average a 200-mile-per-hour lap, though Buddy Baker actually set that record at Talladega in 1970. But you can join in the celebration with some decals, a unique Daytona deck lid, and 717 horsepower from the now familiar 6.2-liter supercharged Hemi V8. That's 10 additional ponies, which comes from a slight retuning. Torque remains at 650 pound-feet. It still sounds as mean as ever, especially when barreling down the straight of Roebling Road Raceway at wide-open throttle well into triple digits. It's still big, soft, and comfy while you're doing that, and it doesn't even feel like you're going very fast until you're halfway into a corner, and then you realize, holy moly, it's on! Nothing but good old American muscle here, and you feel every bit of it when you mash the throttle. So yes, it can be a handful, but it's still a sheer joy thrashing this thing around a racetrack. It is intimidating and can get away from you in a hurry, but at the same time, it's so predictable you feel in control at all times. Throttle-induced oversteer is always just an inappropriate breath of throttle away. So you could drive around the track with gentle inputs, you know, the whole egg under your foot thing, or you could just hammer on and off, treating the throttle like some kind of epic power light switch of awesomeness and deal with the consequences. You can guess which one is more fun. Surprisingly good steering feel keeps the smoky sideways fun times rolling. America the beautiful indeed. And when it comes time to use that other pedal at your feet, the brakes are quite confidence-inspiring, but after continually searching for their limits deeper and deeper into corners, they will start to fade a bit. SRT performance pages give you lots of options for customizing your preferred setup, as well as dialing in launch control. Getting off the line on street tires with any expediency is still a difficult process, as power delivery is relentless. If you can't do a burnout in a 700 horsepower rear-wheel drive Chrysler product, then there's no hope for you. It basically wants to leave marks on whatever pavement it comes in contact with. Modulating the pedal to get as much traction as possible, 3.6 second 0 to 60s are achievable according to FCA. But we were unable to get under 4 seconds here on Roebling Slick Front Straight with a quarter-mile time of 12.1 seconds at 124 miles per hour. Now, all of this hammering down and around the track sounds like a lot of work, but the Charger makes it about as easy on you as possible. The leather and suede performance seats are quite supportive and comfortable. And when not on a track and just going about daily duties, you'll find blue accent stitching, Daytona logos, and genuine carbon fiber about the cabin, as well as a big Uconnect touchscreen for keeping you in touch with everything. Pricing starts at $75,635, less than $5,000 over a base Charger Hellcat, and production is limited to 501 units, just like the 1969 Charger Daytona. A lot of things have changed since the Charger Hellcat debuted for 2015, but it was just another step in a journey that began back in 1969. A journey worth celebrating with the 2020 Dodge Charger SRT Hellcat Widebody Daytona 50th Anniversary Edition. It's still one of the best ways we've found yet to burn through a tank of gas, and gets to 60 quicker than you can say its name. Strike up a conversation with any gearhead about great European mid-engine sports cars, and you'll typically hear the same names. Legends like Countach, Testarossa, Miura, or Esprit. But there's another exotic that deserves to be included, one that spans more than 20 years, sold thousands of units, and was sculpted by one of the greatest car designers of all time. Our Roger Mecca shares a car that may not have the reputation of its rivals, but it's not lacking where it counts.
Amidst the mid-engine Ferraris, Lamborghinis, Maseratis, and other Italian mainstays we all know and love, there's one Modena-born exotic that fell through the cracks of worldwide popularity, despite having the looks, power, and presence to make jaws drop and hearts race.
It was the Di Tommaso Pantera, a sleek and stunning mid-engine coupe that checked all of the boxes on the supercar must-have list. Between 1971 and 1993, more than 7,000 of these were made. But despite all of its wonderful attributes, it never quite caught on like its rivals did. And looking at it today, you have to wonder, why not?
Often the cars here weren't used for high-speed use as they were in Europe. And that's what the car was designed for. And so when a car was used as intended, it worked quite well. And because of that, there was somewhat negative press that unfortunately tainted the future reputation of the marque and the car.
Lashdeep Singh is the owner of this 1981 Pantera GT5S. And while he's had several iconic exotic sports cars over the years, the Pantera, which is Italian for panther, was at the top of his list from a very young age.
We were visiting a local Ford dealership, and we pulled into the service lane, parked outside actually in the parking area, and we saw a black car about 40 inches high. I was too young to know what it was, but I was old enough to know that I needed to tug on my dad's pants and say, "What is that?" It's always had a place on my wish list for cars.
Unveiled at the 1970 New York Auto Show, the Pantera was the third model produced by the company founded by Argentinian Formula One driver Alejandro Di Tommaso. With a design created by the legendary Tom Charda, a race-bred 5.8-liter Ford Cleveland V8, and a tight road-hugging chassis, the Pantera had the performance to back up its good looks.
And then in 1971, Di Tommaso got a huge boost when Ford decided to sell Panteras in select Lincoln Mercury dealerships across the country. And at half the price of a Ferrari, while still being just as beautiful and wonderful to drive, the stage seemed to be set for a huge success for Di Tommaso. In theory.
But in reality, there were problems. While the Ford-sourced engine and the ZF transmission were rock solid, fit and finish of the first U.S. cars was less than perfect as Ford looked for ways to pinch pennies. Rust was a common problem, and the cars were prone to overheating. Lincoln Mercury dealership mechanics used to working on Continentals and Comets were left scratching their heads whenever a Pantera showed up for service. And then in 1974, just 3 years after Ford's Lee Iacocca helped convince Henry Ford II to create the partnership, it ended. And from then on, DiTomaso was on his own. But during those 3 years, nearly 5,500 Panteras were sold, and DiTomaso used every problem as an opportunity to make the car better. So by the time the 1980s rolled around, this was a well-sorted-out automobile. It was just as fun to drive, but much more reliable. The 351 cubic inch V8 pumps out 350 horsepower and can hit 60 in under 5.5 seconds, the same time as a comparable Countach, which costs twice as much as a Pantera. The driving experience, however, is priceless. This is a 40-year-old car, but it still feels very fast. And the sound coming from over my right shoulder, oh, that is what driving fanatics live for. But the thing I like the most is how special it feels to drive a Pantera. You're never going to get bored. You're never going to feel complacent. No matter how many miles you put on this car, it's always going to feel like an event. And as of late, car connoisseurs are taking notice of how special the Pantera really is. Versions as nice as this can fetch well over $150,000, but you can still get into one for around 60 grand. Adding to the cool factor is just how seldom you actually see one. But maybe that's a good thing. After all, when you're named after one of the most elusive animals in the jungle, you don't really want anyone to see you coming.
There are a whole lot of do-it-yourselfers out there, but doing it right is a whole different ball game. That's our cue to throw it to Pat at Goss's Garage.
For many of us, when we get a new car, we want to customize it sort of to make it our own. And one popular way of doing that is to tint the glass in the car. And to give us some pointers, we have Stephen Leacock from Tint World of Owings Mills, Maryland. Stephen, welcome to Goss's Garage.
Thank you for having us.
Okay, what are some of the things that people need to know about tinting their glass?
The first thing we discuss with our customers is what's legal in the state of Maryland. So in order to be state legal, we need to have the film read at 35%.
All right, but the factory glass has some tint in it.
That's correct.
And you brought along a meter. That's going to tell us what the original glass is?
What we have found in the state of Maryland, 45% is going to get you above the 35%, which is legal in the state of Maryland. It's going to vary by manufacturer, a small percentage, but the 45% film is what you need.
And these numbers might be different in different states and so on.
That's correct. It does vary by jurisdiction.
Okay. All right, now, they're all different types of films. What do you recommend?
Well, we carry a metallized film, we carry a carbon film, we carry a ceramic film. What we sell the most of is the carbon. We find that it's a good price point, and it provides a good quality film with a lifetime warranty.
Okay, but say you want something cheaper like the metallized film, aren't there some downsides to that on a car like this?
Yeah, well, we wouldn't recommend a metallized film on a newer car. If we're using a metallized film, typically it's going to be a vehicle in the early 2000s. A car like this is a newer car with a lot of technology in it. So a metallized film could interfere with that technology.
Okay. Now, the other thing is a lot of people think they can do it themselves, and maybe, but you have special processes and so on to install it.
Well, we have that, and we also have a professional window tinter. It's really a skill.
Mm-hmm.
So what we do is we use a software program where we enter in the make, model, year of the vehicle and what trim it may be. And then from that, we have a plotter that cuts out the film. That film is then transferred onto a board that we use to finish cutting the pattern out for the vehicle.
Uh-huh. Okay. What else should we know here?
Well, I think the big thing with the carbon film is it protects against UV rays, it provides heat rejection, and as I noted, it comes with a lifetime warranty. So it makes sense to spend a little extra when you're buying a brand new vehicle, or if you have a newer vehicle, it's worth the money.
It's going to make the upholstery last longer and make you more comfortable.
And make you more comfortable.
Okay, Stephen, thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
And if you have a question or comment, drop us a line right here at MotorWeek.
Changes in the auto industry are happening faster and faster, and Lauren Morrison keeps track of it for us in this week's Motor News.
Design, horsepower, and technology get a lot of attention when we review cars at MotorWeek, but it's reliability that is one of the biggest keys for buyers. J.D. Power has released their 2020 U.S. Vehicle Dependability Study. Covering 36,000 owners, the study looks at problems with cars that are 3 years old. This year, Hyundai's Genesis luxury brand is not only included for the first time, it's at the top of the list. They unseated Lexus, that has held the top spot for the last 8 years. The highest-ranking mass-market brand, Buick, is in third, with Porsche and Toyota rounding out the top 5. In-vehicle technology is the source of more problems than any other category in this study of 2017 models. There have been improvements, but owners still complain about voice recognition, Bluetooth connectivity, and navigation systems. As a whole, the dependability of vehicles improves 1.5% over 2019, making it the overall best performance in the study's 31-year history. There will be a few more totally autonomous vehicles on the road, at least for a trial basis. Federal regulators have given the Nuro R2 the green light to start deliveries in Houston, Texas. The R2 will be carrying packages, not people. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration granted Nuro's request for a temporary exemption from certain low-speed vehicle requirements. This is Nuro's second self-driving vehicle. The R1 started operating in Scottsdale, Arizona in December 2018. The Nuro R2 has updates like improved sensors, a temperature-controlled compartment to keep food fresh, and more hardware to handle inclement weather. The electric battery is nearly twice as large, so the company says the R2 can operate all day. NHTSA is keeping a keen eye on the R2 and has limited Nuro to no more than 5,000 R2 vehicles during the 2-year exemption period. Nuro is working with Roush to develop the self-driving delivery vehicles. And that wraps up this week's Motor News.
Around here, what we like is pretty simple. A set of keys and a fast car, and we're off on another quick spin. When Hyundai spun off the Genesis name, the 2017 Genesis G90 sedan led the new brand's luxury ambitions. Now the 2020 Genesis G90 is the first showcasing their new exterior face. A large crest grille dominates the front fascia, flanked by quad lamps. More quad lights stretch along the rear. Designers replaced or refashioned every exterior body panel except the roof and doors. The idea is to make the G90 look long, low, and wide while rolling on 19-inch wheels. We headed to California to see if the changes impact the ride. Powertrain options remain the same, the smooth and steady 420 horsepower 5-liter V8, or the spirited and responsive 365 horsepower 3.3-liter turbo V6. An 8-speed automatic channels power from both engines to the rear wheels or all 4, supported by adaptive suspension with electronic dampers.
The steering is light, and the suspension cushions the car from the harsh realities rolling outside. You can feel the strength coming from the turbo V6 we're in right now, but the sound of the engine's hum is muted when you're here in the driver's seat. And they've gone even further to reduce road noise. So the polished and quiet cabin is now even more serene and hushed.
The emphasis on width carries into the cabin, covered with premium materials. With all this richness, there are 9 new or updated safety and driver assistant features. Like other premium brands, Genesis is adding utilities with this bold new appearance. But for now, the 2020 Genesis G90 wears the standout style worthy of a flagship and the aspirations of the brand since the beginning. On sale now, the price starts at just over $72,000. And we'll have more quick spins soon. Despite being in the 6th and final year of its 3rd generation, the Toyota Highlander was the best-selling 3-row crossover in the U.S. last year. So obviously, priority 1 for the all-new 4th generation Highlander is don't mess it up. So let's see what other priorities Toyota has for the all-new Highlander. The all-new 2020 Toyota Highlander has arrived, facing stiffer competition than ever before. But what is it about the Toyota Highlander that has kept it atop the sales charts for so many years? It certainly wasn't the first three-row crossover, sporting just 2 rows when it debuted in 2001. But adding an optional third row for 2004 when designers correctly perceived that that was where the segment was heading. It was, however, the first hybrid 3-row vehicle of any kind when the Highlander Hybrid was launched a year later. And the new Highlander follows a familiar powertrain trail with some slight deviation. The base 2.7-liter i4 is no longer in the mix, but the 3.5-liter V6 carries over from last year, outputting the same 295 horsepower and 263 pound-feet of torque. A hybrid returns as well, but it switches from a V6 to a smaller i4 engine. The now 2.5-liter combines with battery power for a 243 horsepower rating. That's down considerably from the 306 of before, but as you can imagine, fuel economy is up just as significantly. The V6 gets an 8-speed automatic transmission, while the hybrid works through a CVT, and as before, the all-wheel drive systems are unique. Toyota's dynamic torque vectoring system for the V6, rear-mounted electronic on-demand all-wheel drive for the hybrid. Noteworthy is that the new hybrid design no longer requires all-wheel drive, which also improves fuel economy. Toyota claims 35 combined, which is a 24% increase from before. V6 government fuel economy ratings for all but base trim are 20 city, 28 highway, and 23 combined for front-wheel drive. All-wheel drive mostly the same except for 1 less MPG on the highway. Now we spent some early drive time with both powertrains in the great state of Texas and found that each has a unique character. The new hybrid may be down on power, but the engine is very responsive. Chances are you won't miss the V6. The CVT does produce some droning engine noises at times, but we'd put up with it considering 600 miles between fill-ups are possible. The V6 feels as strong as ever, and its 8-speed does a good job of managing power without being overly shift-happy. Ride quality for both remains on the softer side, and at times the Highlander can feel like a bigger vehicle than it is. A sportier, more tautly sprung Highlander XSE may correct that when it arrives this fall. Indeed, Toyota has gone to great strides recently to make their mainstream vehicles look and drive more exciting. Highlander is no different, as the word bold can be found throughout the press release. So the new exterior design does stand out a little more than before, and like every generation before it, it has gotten incrementally larger as well. The biggest increase comes to both overall length and wheelbase, which both grow by 2.4 inches. All to the benefit of rear seat passengers, and really here it's all about the comfort and family features. That comfort abounds in all seating positions. Second row seats can be bench or captains depending on trim level. Third row access is good, but there's still not quite adult size room back there. Behind it is a good 16 cubic feet of cargo space, 48.4 behind the second row, and a max of 84.3 with all seat backs folded. Towing capacity is 5,000 pounds for the V6, 3,500 pounds for the hybrid. New for this year are softer materials and better soundproofing, as well as the biggest infotainment screen yet for a Toyota, 12.3 inches, available to replace the standard 8-inch touchscreen. Both the screen and control pod are mounted very high in the dash. It's a great new design, both aesthetically as well as for usability. And finally, safety features are as plentiful as you might expect. V6 pricing starts at $35,720 for a base L model, passing through LE, XLE, and Limited to arrive at Platinum, which starts at $47,970. Adding all-wheel drive ranges from $1,600 to $1,950 depending on trim. The hybrid is available in all trims except for L, starting with LE at $39,320 with similar pricing for all-wheel drive. So while everything has changed, nothing has changed. The 2020 Toyota Highlander continues to deliver everything families are looking for in a package that looks better than ever. So without a doubt, when it comes to the Highlander, the Toyota faithful are gonna keep on loving you. Well, that's our show. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, for more MotorWeek, including podcasts and even complete episodes, cruise on over to pbs.org/MotorWeek. And I hope you'll join us next time when we're back at our winter proving ground searching for the limits of the Lexus RCF Track Edition. And then it's lots of luxury in a small package, the Lincoln Corsair. Till then, I'm John Davis. We'll see you right here on MotorWeek.
To learn more about MotorWeek, television's original automotive magazine, visit pbs.org/MotorWeek. To order a DVD of this program, call 1-800-873-6154. MotorWeek has been brought to you by...
You're shopping for tires online and you have questions.
I do.
We're TireRack.com and we have answers. And tools to help.
Like our tire decision guide. It's, take a look.
TireRack.com. Find, deliver, install.
Rock Auto has auto parts from hundreds of manufacturers, offering a variety of brands, prices, and specifications. RockAuto.com. All the parts your car will ever need.
This program was produced by Maryland Public Television, which is solely responsible for its content.
Be more.